The following video explains how to create a new Ideas user. When creating a new Ideas user, there are two main steps. The first step is to create the username and password. The second step is to define the access right needed for this user for all the models. This video is about step number one, which is create a username and password. From the system security model, you can access the user setup screen either from the shortcut you see here or from under the functions menu. You click on user setup, and the first thing you need to provide the username. So it's user defined field, and it's up to you to choose a proper way of providing or of defining usernames. For instance, let's say ideas. Then you provide the password, you confirm that password, and then you can decide to define a network login for this user. What this option does is that it allows the user to connect to P2Ideas using their network login instead of their ideas login and password. So this option will associate the P2Ideas login to the user's network login. Per default, the system sets a new user as active, but you can change this status to inactive or back to active anytime you need. A reason why you will be turning a user inactive or active is, for example, if you have a read-only account for auditors. So whenever they come once a year or twice a year, you activate the account. Whenever they leave, you inactivate it. Also, when a user leaves a company, you can either decide to delete the whole account from the delete button or to just turn it to inactive. That way, all the audit trail related to that user will remain. You can set the password to expire after a certain number of days. For example, after 60 days, all users will be requested, or this user will be requested to change his password. You can also decide to set the password to never expire, and the password will remain the same until the day you decide to change it. You can request the user to change his password on next login. This happens a lot when you define a new user. You give him a random password, very easy one. You provide him with the username and password, and next time when he connects to the system, he will introduce the username and password, and then a message or a screen would appear for him to set a new password. You can also provide an email address for this user if it's desired. So when you finish entering all this information, you click on save and the user is created. This does not mean that the user is now able to use the IDEAS application because we still didn't define the access rights for him for the models he will need to get access to. But this means that this user is created in the database and that user has already a username and password. So the next video will show you in details how to define and refine access rights for a given user.